Top five, top five, top five.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special edition of the Countdown. As you can see, we got the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium in the background. We're at the Kansas City Chiefs Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl rematch. So we thought, what better time to do a top 5 Super Bowls of all time.
The Chiefs and Eagles won a legendary Super Bowl last year. They got a great chance to rematch on Monday Night Football on one of the best stadiums and one of the loudest environments in all the National Football League. It's frozen, it's wet, it's cold, it's windy. It's a perfect day for football, and we're so glad that we got the Super Bowl rematch as the game to do it.
Yeah, we weren't going to let a little rain slow us down, so we had to bring you some high-quality content before this game. And a lot of people don't know this, Brandon, but, one of my dreams is to go to some of the biggest cities in the world, see some of the best games, and create some kind of content, some kind of show in the house of that stadium. And here we are, man. We got to start somewhere. So really excited to get into this one. But before we get into this episode,
smash that like button and hit that subscribe, because we're coming back every single week with some fire-ass content.
Absolutely. So getting into the countdown, the top 5 greatest Super Bowls of all time. At number 5, we're starting out with 2018 when the Philadelphia Eagles took down the New England Patriots in an all-time shootout with Tom Brady and Nick Foles, of all people, the backup quarterback, coming in winning Super Bowl MVP because of the high-level plays that he was making, 4th down conversions. Of course, people remember the Philly special near the end of the half, catching that touchdown pass, and just all around great plays on both sides of the ball, Brandon.
I mean, what a magical year for Philly. They literally just handled business throughout the entire year. We already knew that the Patriots had a great chance of going to the Super Bowl, but just the fact the Eagles made it the way they did was already electric enough. And then to have a backup quarterback in Nick Foles, even though Carson Wentz was having the best year of his career, MVP caliber season, Nick Foles still put the team on his back, went out with a shootout with Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. And it was just an electric Super Bowl from the beginning to the very end of the game.
Yeah, Tom Brady actually set the record for the most passing yards in a Super Bowl, but on the losing end because Brandon Graham came in with the strip sack, sealed their fate, even though it did come down to a Hail Mary, but obviously not many odds of making that happen. So a great Super Bowl to start this list. But getting into number 4, we're going with another Patriots Super Bowl when they faced off against the Seattle Seahawks in 2015, this time on the winning end.
I think everybody saw how this Super Bowl ended, Rob. I mean, Malcolm Butler put his name on the map. Tom Brady even gave him the Super Bowl MVP car after the game because of that amazing play that he made to jump a route from Russell Wilson, when we already know Beast Mode should have had the ball in his hands at the end of the game, but it was close throughout the game. There were a lot of huge plays at the end of that game. Jermaine Kearse made that amazing catch where the ball was just tipping in the air, and he found a way to reel it in, and they kept driving down the field. The Patriots were bending but not breaking the whole game, and they wound up paying off in the very end.
Yeah, I mean, what an epic game. Like, all the way down until the end, you didn't know who was going to win this game. You had such a talented team in Seattle who had just won the year before, actually beat the shit out of the Denver Broncos. That game clearly didn't make this list, but this game absolutely had to. When you had two forces, the Seattle Seahawks defense with that Legion of Boom, with the New England Patriots, hadn't won a Super Bowl in 10 years. Keep in mind, this wasn't the Patriots dynasty that we know today. They hadn't won, in such a long time, but going into this game, they brought it back. They started a run where they won 3 more Super Bowls in New England. Of course, Tom Brady won another one in Tampa Bay, but this really started to put Tom Brady and the New England Patriots back on the map as a perennial Super Bowl threat. So getting into number 3, we actually go back in the archives all the way to 1979 with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys in a Super Bowl rematch from a few years before. Fun fact, the Cowboys and the Steelers are actually the only teams to have a rematch in the Super Bowl more than 2 times. And this was the second time with Terry Bradshaw, Roger Staubach going at it, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. But really, it was the defense side of the ball that was hyped up going into this game. Obviously, the Steel Curtain in Pittsburgh. Dallas had some Hall of Famers on their side of the ball as well. But it ended up being an unexpected shootout with those 2 quarterbacks. Terry Bradshaw handing out 300 yards for the first time in his career, having 4 touchdowns, having that game winner to Lynn Swann. All legendary stuff, Brandon.
The Cowboys and the Steelers really built their legacy in the 70s. They had a lot of success, like you said, Rob, plenty of Super Bowl rematches throughout their time, throughout those decade or two. And then the way the game just went, multiple fumbles, some picks. Terry Bradshaw had one of the best games of his career, game-winning touchdowns. Roger Staubach versus Terry Bradshaw, that's all you can really ask for. Legendary players on both sides of the ball for both teams. Obviously, the Steelers still had the Steel Curtain, led by Mean Joe Green, Jack Lambert. And then the Cowboys had a very prolific offense that was led by Pearson and Roger Staubach. And they had the Charles Haley's of the world on the defensive side of the ball too. So just ballers throughout the whole thing. And that's so clear why these 2 teams had a legacy during that major time of pro football.
Absolutely. 2 pivotal franchises having that big game, starting to cement their legacies as all-time franchises with those dynasties in the mix. and battling it out on the big stage. But at number 2, we had a budding dynasty potentially in Atlanta, having a 28-3 lead over the New England Patriots. But we all know how that went, Brandon.
Yeah, this was a clear time where if you either rocked with the Patriots and you just wanted them to win as many Super Bowls as possible and just continue to build on that legacy for Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, or you're just all against them. And the Falcons are one of the perfect teams to root against when it came to the Patriots. They had a young Kyle Shanahan and a very budding coach in Dan Quinn who was hitting the ground running in Atlanta. Matt Ryan was looking like an MVP caliber player, and that's why you saw them get up so early, Rob. 28-3 is almost unreasonable. You would never imagine that to happen to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. But then next thing you know, Julian Edelman wild catches. Tom Brady gets the dealing. The running backs are making huge plays, and the Patriots were incrementally coming back and back and back until the game hit overtime and ended in a heartbreaker for every fan from the state of Georgia.
Yeah, no Rob Gronkowski in this one. He got injured beforehand. So really, Tom Brady only had Julian Edelman amongst his group of weapons there. And Julian Edelman obviously made himself known, probably the best catch of his career, one of the best catches in football history. And it really helped them come back and solidify that tie at the end of the game with the 2-point conversion to get into overtime, where James White obviously sealed the deal with his touchdown at the end. And it just goes to show that no matter what the situation is, no matter where they are in the game, no matter what has unfolded up to that point, you can never, ever count out TB12. And that's what this game ultimately certified, is that Tom Brady will always be a legend, will always be an underdog, and will always find a way to get the upper hand.
Legendary status, man.
Absolutely. But it wasn't the greatest Super Bowl of all time. Patriots are very, very heavily involved in these greatest Super Bowls of all time, because at number 1 for the best Super Bowl ever, we got to go back to 2008 with the New York Giants taking down the previously undefeated Patriots, ending that 18-0 season that could have been 19-0, but it wasn't, because the New York Giants came to play with Michael Strahan and company getting after Tom Brady recklessly, consistently, putting him under pressure, a guy who's not that well at escaping the pocket, who's not good at creating plays for himself in the run game. They caused havoc, play in and play out, and it really suffocated an all-time record-breaking offense with Randy Moss and Wes Welker. It didn't matter. And Eli Manning, when it mattered most, came in the clutch, solidified himself with the David Tyree catch, with the Plaxico Burress touchdown, and that's how you end an undefeated season right there.
100%. I mean, the Patriots were in the best situation of any team in the league. They probably locked up the 1 seed a week or two before the season even ended, and the Giants were barely squeaking in, making the playoffs, had the greatest wild card run we've ever seen in NFL history, and on top of that, to beat an 18-0 team, a clearly undefeated, unanimous best team in the league, and the fashion that they did with big plays from David Tyree, the defense held on, and just to keep the Patriots from not scoring more than 20 points is already a victory in itself.
Right.
So, wild-ass game, and easily one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time.
Absolutely. So there you have it, the top 5 greatest Super Bowls of all time, as we're about to witness the Super Bowl rematch that you've already seen at this point. Really excited, looking forward to seeing who you guys believe are the top 5 Super Bowls of all time. Leave those comments as well.
Leave them in the comments, man. We can't wait to hear y'all's list. We got an epic game that's about to go down. 2 of the best teams in the league. Everybody loves a Super Bowl rematch. We'll see if the Eagles can find a way to get some revenge.
But before we go,
make sure to smack that like and punch that subscribe, because we're coming back every single week with some tough-ass content.
Absolutely. Till next time.
Peace.